And hey, thanks for coming, Jado. We are now doing another episode of My American Dream slash reality show. I'm super glad to have you here. I've known you for many, many years, my friend, and I
So
think you got a great story. Again, what we really try to focus on here on this broadcast is, the American dream has gotten harder to obtain. It's still obtainable, but just harder. We in the real estate industry really are kind of the conduits that help deliver it, but we've all had our own struggles obtaining it and our own struggles delivering it. So I wanted to kind of go through your story for a lot of people that that are watching that sometimes feel either hopeless or down or out or defeated in
mhm,
the business. I really like to highlight people that have gone through struggles and have really come out big on the other side.
mhm,
And I'll tell everybody when I met Jado. Jado owned a nightclub in Minneapolis, and me as a younger man, I used to frequent that nightclub probably once or twice a week.
correct.
And Jado as an owner of that establishment, what I noticed right away with him is he had a really huge, great sense of hospitality. I wasn't the biggest spender in the place or the most well known, but I always felt that way with him. So when he got into real estate, his name got thrown over to me, and I said, "Yeah, I know Jado," and Jado remembered me, and we started working together, right off the jump. But I wanted Jado to really kind of go with you guys and hear, how we got started, even before he got started, what led him here. But as we do that, Jado, if you wouldn't mind, let's kind of, give the audience an idea of how big your business is right now, what you're really doing.
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
I am honored to be here. And I mean, I moved here. If you want to start from, how I got here in the first place, I'm originally from Lebanon. I was born there. I moved here when I was 14. I was in a French Catholic school in Lebanon. It was a very aggressive, uh, you know, education.
Hmm.
And I had family. My uncles were here, so I used to come visit on Christmas, just holidays. And I kind of wanted to come here and try high school, see if I like it more. So I came here and I fell in love with America. I fell in love with Minnesota. Obviously the weather wasn't the
A little
the
different
big
than
yeah
Lebanon.
yeah it's a lot different, but one thing that we'll touch on is, us as humans, when you train your brain to do something, it will do it at as high a level as you want it to do it. So I kind of had to kind of trick my brain into, no, I like this. I can deal with this. No, so I can, enjoy being here even more. But, going to high school and going from a very strict, nuns that will just kind of hit you with a ruler if you're not doing well, to kind of doing whatever you want in high school was a big change for me. And the education level was higher in Lebanon. So what I was learning here, I already learned in Lebanon like a couple years ago. So I did well in school. But I ended up staying here. I
What school
worked
did you go to?
South High. I went
Okay.
to like public school. So
Yeah.
I didn't really know what, kind of where to go. So I came here. My uncle lived close. So they basically, I was supposed to go there. So I didn't
And
really
where's
pick that
South
school.
High for those that don't know?
South
South
Minneapolis.
Minneapolis.
Yep.
Yep.
South High Tigers. So I graduated in '02. Even when I was in high school, I was working for my uncles. They owned a bunch of gas stations. So
Hmm.
I would literally go from school to the gas station, work, study at work, and then go back to school the next morning. So, and weekends, I would work Saturday, Sunday. I used to open. So I'd have the morning shifts. And I loved it. I loved the fact that I was busy all the time. I was making my own money as a kid, and it really helped me learn accountability, helped me kind of count on myself. The fact I was, working at a young age and making, money, it just kind of helped me want it more at a younger age.
Hmm.
And then I got into obviously the nightclub business.
How did that happen, by the way?
It wasn't supposed to happen the way it did. I used to party a lot, so the
That's where we
college.
got along.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So, and I used to go to a club named Escape Ultra Lounge in Block E, downtown
Oh, I remember
Minneapolis.
that.
Right.
Yep.
So, and I met a gentleman named Song. He was the general manager at the time. And we just became good friends because I used to go there all the time. It's a long story, and I'm going to make it short. So, Song ended up letting go from Escape, and he wanted to open his own spot. And I've always respected the way he ran that place. It was very professional, customer service based, and he reached out to me for more like an investment to see if I'll be able to put some money into it. And I said, absolutely, I would love. I mean, as a party, who wouldn't want to own a club,
Right.
right? But I didn't know anything about it or except partying. So me and Song started working on, getting this place open and working together. And then he ended up having a heart attack in basically halfway through the project. So he was young, very healthy. He actually, he collapsed when he was jogging.
I think I
Um,
remember this.
yeah,
Yeah.
and his fiance at the time was Lebanese, so obviously from Lebanon we kind of connected, became good friends, all of us. So, um, and unfortunately, his parents decided to pull the plug after a while,
Hmm.
and I wanted to move forward with the project for him, but I didn't know what I was doing, right? So I reached out to a gentleman named Lucas, who was Song's best friend, who actually taught who taught Song the business. And I said, "Hey, can you just sign a 1 year deal with me just to teach me the business?" So again, long story short, Lucas came on board, stayed with us for a year. I ended up bringing my brother in as well, and then we did well, and we opened in March 2007,
Hmm.
right? And then you obviously remember what happened with the real estate crash. So
Yeah.
when we first opened, we kind of went into some kind of a recession. So it was a struggle, right? But we had to figure out a way to stay above water and survive. And, that aqua led to different opportunities, different clubs. So then I bought Elixir, then I bought the Fala Music Cafe, and just start growing. We ended up buying, and I was owning and operating five at the same time.
Hmm.
So, and then I got married, had a child, had read out
What
my
year was
first,
that again with the marriage?
2014.
Ah, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and to touch on your point, you were, I made you feel like you spent a lot of money because you did. So,
Yeah, I did. I
so
was up
it wasn't
with
like
that
I was
VIP
just,
every weekend.
yeah,
Yep.
absolutely. So, and that's why I joined RG, because I felt entitled. Like I have to give you some of the money back that you gave me. So,
This goes. I got to say it for me being a young, successful real estate agent in my early 20s,
mhm,
in mid 20s. Making big six-figure money at that age, you can spend it really stupidly. It
absolutely,
worked out for you, but I mean, I was throwing money everywhere I went. So yeah.
absolutely, yeah, we took advantage of it. But again, we kind of ran that place to kind of, like you said, it's the hospitality. It's they call it hospitality business
Hmm.
or the industry. So you have to take care of people. Kind of it's very similar to real estate, right? So that's kind of what I thought I would do well in real estate. And again, I got married 2014. I had my first child in 2015, and the first year of having my kid, I would literally work 20-hour days.
Hmm.
And at one point, like my daughter wouldn't come to me, like I said, "Hey, honey," she would run to her mom. Feel like she thought I was her mom's roommate. I would
Right.
really come sleep and leave. So it was kind of wake up call for me. I need to make a lifestyle change. So I basically sold my shares, stepped out of the industry, and I thought,
So you divested 100% out of it.
correct,
Yep.
100%. And I thought, what's a good industry that I can get into, that I can use this network that I've built over the years without having to put a big budget in, right? So like real estate was the first thing that clicked. So I went, did the test, and took the class, um, passed the test, and I reached out to you guys. I'm like,
Hmm.
and I didn't meet with anybody else. It was RG was, obviously I've known you and I've heard of Long. He was in the same group of friends that I had and fantasy football. So, and I knew Tam. So it was, and as soon as I joined you guys, I felt like I was at home. And it's kind of how I always ran all my other businesses, is kind of having this family concept mentality, and big company, small family feel. So that's how I ended up with RG. And yeah,
Well,
so
let's talk about. I mean, I remember your first transactions. I think you may have thought it was going to be easier than it
mhm,
was because you were such a fish out of water. You're like, what do I do with this contract, right? And
correct.
you figured it out pretty quickly.
Hmm.
It didn't stop you, but it was different going from even though you were a business owner
Hmm.
operating. I mean, not just a business owner, you were an active operator
Hmm.
coming into this, and it was a whole new. Whole new thing. So, talk about if you could what that first 6 months looked like. How did that roll out for you?
You're right. I went in thinking I was going to do a lot better than I did,
Hmm.
and maybe I don't know if it was.
You still did pretty good though.
I mean, thank
You
you,
did.
but I still, my expectation was higher, and I wouldn't say it was more arrogance, but it was harder than I expected. And the two challenges that I faced was, a lot of people still didn't know I did real estate. They still relate me to the service industry.
Right.
And then second, people didn't trust me. Like I was the new
You were
agent,
new.
right?
Yep.
And people were thinking, oh, he probably just got into it because he knows people,
Right.
right? But he doesn't know real estate. So I had to earn their trust. I had to, earn people's respect. And I was thankful for some friends who trusted me with their deals. My first listing was Ricky Rubio's penthouse downtown at 1.25 million.
And let's for those that don't know who Ricky is.
Ricky played for the Timberwolves for, he got drafted as a rookie here, and he played here many years. Minnesota legend. People loved him here. Then he got traded, to a different team, and he got traded back again. So, but when he got traded the first time, I listed his penthouse downtown, and that was my first transaction. And it made the Star Tribune, not because of me, but obviously because of Ricky. And that
But
even
you were
gave me,
attached to that.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I literally took that and I ran with it. I, you know, blew that up, like so, and that's what I realized, that things aren't going to come to me, but every little plus, every little push I can get, I need to take it and make it way bigger than it could be. So
And you and I talk about this, and you'll constantly tell me I'm not a luxury agent, but I'm like, dude, you do a lot of luxury, right?
yeah,
But you don't pigeonhole yourself with just luxury, that title. You're not going to say
sure.
I'm not going to work with a first time home buyer because I'm luxury.
Mm-hmm.
But let's face it, you do a lot of luxury.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what is your biggest transaction to date? Uh, in terms of sale price,
4.2 million.
4.2 million,
Yep.
and it's nothing for you to see another 1.5 and a 2.2 and a 2.8. You're
Mhm.
constantly popping those off.
Absolutely.
In fact, I will tell you, you had the largest run of GCI made in the shortest amount of time.
Okay.
I won't get into the specific number, but I think you remember the time period I'm
Yep.
talking about.
Yep.
It was
Absolutely.
six-figure income that came in like what, within a month or a couple weeks or
Correct.
something.
That was, I say, July 2023 of last year.
Right,
Yeah.
right. I mean, it was incredible, right? So, but what I want people to understand, or what I want them to hear from you is, you know, what we deliver, and you're working with people that have achieved the American dream.
Yeah.
Essentially stability,
Mhm.
in many cases, generational wealth.
Mhm.
Some huge things. But you got to deliver that to them.
Correct.
That's what you're tasked to do. And I got to imagine some of these people that are on that level,
Mhm.
their expectations aren't necessarily going to be the same expectations as a first-time home buyer. Right.
Absolutely. Everything is different.
So let's talk about that a little bit. When they're looking at you saying, "This is what I'm expecting of you,"
Mhm.
and then how your hospitality background, how that really helps, kind of guide you to deliver.
Absolutely. And, to touch on the first point you made, as far as being known as a luxury agent, the reason I shy away from that is because I've had so many people reach out to me and say, hey, I know you don't deal with the $300,000 deals, but can you refer me to an agent that does?
Yeah.
I said, who told you I don't do
Right.
$300,000 deals?
Right.
I just sold a lot for $40,000.
Right.
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 Like, and it might sound cliche to you if I tell you I treat every client the same,
Regardless of
same
the money.
customer, regardless.
Yeah.
Everybody deserves 100% of your efforts. And actually, I feel like the people in the lower budget even need more direction, more help. It's probably the first time they buy a home.
Yeah.
They need you to fight even harder for them.
Yeah.
So, but you still have to treat everybody the same, and you can't act like you're better than a certain amount.
Mhm.
And so that's why, like I said, I s- stay away from the whole luxury thing. And I mean, yeah, I'd say 80% of my deals are probably between over 750 grand,
Mhm.
and that just happened over time.
Yeah.
Right. So, and but again, I would take any deal. So, commercial, residential, and lots, investment. I enjoy every aspect of real estate.
So, but when you're dealing with more upper echelon,
Mhm.
and their expectations are going to be, they're going to be a little bit more demanding. They're going to be a little bit, sometimes even more unrealistic.
Correct.
How do you navigate that?
You have to adapt to every personality. You have to adapt to every character. Everybody's different. I've dealt, the 4.2 million, the highest purchase price I did, was probably one of the easiest transactions that I've had. It was an athlete, and I've worked with most athletes here, and a lot of them you have to deal with um, business advisors, accountants, actual management. Like you literally have to go through so many different departments that are involved and need to know what to do. This specific athlete was just him and his wife,
Mhm.
and it was a cash deal and it was quick and smooth closing. And another athlete that was that purchased at a slightly lower price. Um, his expectation was 10 times higher than this guy,
Mhm.
and I had to adapt to that. I had to step up to that, right? So, and again, every deal is different. Some deals require a certain amount of effort. Some deals require a certain amount of time. And again, you have to understand the person you're dealing with. You have to play some kind of a psychiatrist
Mhm.
to really to do well, because obviously in this business, if we don't perform, we're not going to get the referrals.
And I think too, a lot of agents, you brought this up, and I want to touch on this because
Mhm.
it's so important. If you're looking at your reward, what's
Mhm.
in this for me? This one's going to be $4,000 commission check. That one's a $40,000 commission check. If you treat those things differently,
Hmm.
you're always going to be setting yourself, I feel like, up for failure.
Absolutely.
So when you remove the money out of it
Hmm.
and you say this is the job I'm going to do, the service I'm going to give,
Hmm.
the money becomes a byproduct.
Correct.
It's not the primary focus, it's a
100%.
byproduct. So if you're giving that much not to get off your story, but my
Hmm.
wife a few years ago, helped an elderly lady sell a garage stall out of a condo. It was a $15,000 garage stall.
Hmm.
That was a year-long process of dealing with
Sure.
the bank to even get the release, because nobody could even figure out how to do it. She worked
Yeah.
a year
Mhm.
for no money. She didn't make anything on it,
Yeah.
but she was bound and determined
Hmm.
that she was going to help this lady get this thing done.
Sure.
Sure enough, it rolled back to her with another transaction.
Yep.
But
Absolutely.
to that point of kind of adapting and adjusting,
Hmm.
if you're only looking at working hard for the bigger paychecks,
Hmm.
and I think that's why maybe you don't want to even be looked at as a luxury agent.
Hmm.
You don't want to be going, well, you're not worth my time.
Sure.
I think that's where people get really off track really fast.
Absolutely. And again, if I close a deal that was 360, purchase price, and I think I've put more hours into that deal than all my other deals combined.
Right.
Right. It was just complicated, and I was determined to make sure that my client, gets the best outcome out of this. Right. So especially when it's that complicated, that's when you become your expertise, and you as an agent become different than other agents because you know how to deal with the situation. You know how to figure out a solution for them, and believe me, that really shows a lot with clients.
What is your best year number of transactions that year?
I don't usually count number of transaction. I usually count volume, like money
Right.
wise. I think 30, almost 35 million.
I think your best year was between 40 and 50 transactions, if I remember right. Because I tracked that, of course.
Sure.
You're close to 40 or maybe a little over,
Okay.
if I remember right. In your team,
Hmm.
right? You also run a team. We're not even talking about that. How many people on your team now?
21.
21 total, including you or not including you?
Including me.
Yeah. Okay. So 20
20
team
agents.
juniors.
Correct.
Yeah, got
Correct.
it. So you're running the team. You personally are doing anywhere from 30 to $35 million in volume,
Mhm.
running 35, 40 plus transactions a year on a good year. Talk a little bit, if we could, about what are some obstacles in building all that.
Mhm.
What are some things that you really had to tackle to make that happen?
I would say the biggest one is expectation. Um, your agents come in joining you with a certain expectation,
Mhm.
and some are realistic, some are not realistic. And be able to perform, that kind of volume on my own and still teach 20 other people the business also is another challenge.
It's a big challenge.
Because, especially my agents, I recruit younger agents, new
Mhm.
agents, because I want to teach these guys how to do business the way I did.
From the ground up.
Correct. It's hard to do that with somebody who's been in the business
Yeah.
4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
And so obviously it takes more time, it takes more training. And I'm super happy with the team that I have. I've recently kind of just put a pause on recruiting. I really wanted to focus on work on the agents that I have.
Mhm.
And I've realized how important that is because most of them have stepped their business up tremendously. Some are up 80%, 50%, 90%. So I also realized that when you put in the work and effort and you learn and really market yourself, you will make it in this business. It's not as hard as most people make it out to be.
One thing I've seen with you is you leverage.
Hmm.
Even going back to the early bar days, you weren't trying to buy the bar all by yourself, run it all by yourself. You sought out partnerships,
Hmm.
right?
Sure.
And even in real estate, kind of the same thing. You could have been a solo agent doing this all by yourself, but
Absolutely.
you start growing a team.
Mhm.
You're also into some other things too. I know you're buying hotels.
Mhm.
Talk about some of the other ventures you're doing, and I'm assuming
Mhm.
you're leveraging there too. Other people's finance, other investors and partners. Let's talk a little bit about that if we could.
Absolutely. So I'll kind of tell you what I do overall and then just kind of break them all down.
Yeah.
So I have obviously the lead agency, my team,
Yeah.
real estate. I have a construction company here and one in Colorado.
And the one here, you're primarily focused on, if I remember right, on storm damage, right? Or do you have?
Correct. Yep,
Yeah.
just
Okay.
storm damage.
And how much in volume did you sell this storm season?
This year was 2.5. Last year we did 4 million.
Got it.
So this year we're just slower.
Yeah.
The one in Colorado is a little bit more consistent because there's a lot more storms there than there is
Right.
here. And I would say Colorado probably about 5 million this year.
Gotcha.
So,
Gotcha.
but again, every city is different. So, um, and then I have the edible arrangement store
Yep.
that originally I bought for. I wanted my wife to run
Right.
originally, right? So she was. My wife is amazing. She's busy all day. She handles the kids and the home and the activities, which is a full time job. And at the time, I kind of wanted her to have her own business, so it can, when the kids start going to, both of them were in school. She had more time to herself, and and then that's when I bought edible arrangement. And
Hmm.
then it turns out to be that she needs to be. She's a lot busier than I thought, honestly. Especially when the kids grew a couple of years, and then
Yep.
gymnastics and sports and piano and all that stuff. Um, so I end up kind of running it myself, and it's a good business, but it does need to be a little bit more hands on. So
Hmm.
I recently changed management. I put new management in there that have been doing much better. So it's been performing a lot better than it has
Good.
in the last couple of years. And and the last thing is hotels.
Hmm.
And what I did with hotels was I always preach in real estate, invest in real estate, invest
Hmm.
in real estate. And I looked at myself and I said, I sound like a hypocrite
You're
because
not investing enough.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm no, no, I wasn't at the time. I only owned my house
Right.
when I first started real estate. And then I'm telling people to invest in real estate and I don't.
Yep.
So I wanted to start investing. So I looked into, duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes, but I also had a lot of buyers that were looking for those.
Hmm.
So I think ethically I couldn't buy those.
You didn't want to compete with your own people.
Correct.
Yeah.
Like if I saw fourplex that cash flows great amount of money. I I'm like, do I buy it myself? Do I send it to somebody? So
Yeah.
I couldn't
Because you're
allow
gonna make one of your clients' days doing that.
absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah.
Or crush
Or
them with.
exactly. If they
Yeah.
found out I did it and
Yeah.
they're looking for something similar, why didn't you send it to me? So I basically said I cannot do this.
Yep.
And so I looked what's next up, either apartments or hotels. And I compared both hotels and apartments per door. Hotels were a lot cheaper.
Hmm.
Um, on an average, they were about 25 to 30,000 a door.
Hmm.
Apartments were like 120 a door.
Yeah. 90 to 120. Depending where you
Correct.
look. Yeah. Yep.
So what I did, and the concept that I've done recently, is I would buy these hotels and kind of treat them like apartments.
Hmm.
And so if you want to go get an apartment now, you want 1.5 time income verification, background check, all the other stuff. So my marketing for the hotels are, we offer monthly stays, no verification income needed, no background needed, um, all utilities included, Wi-Fi and dish also. We offer free laundry and once a week cleaning,
Hmm.
and it's 300 a week,
Right.
right?
Right.
So at $1,200 a month, you basically live in a hotel,
Hmm.
right? And I mean, most of them are long-term stays for me. So obviously, we still do the nightlies,
Right.
but
But you've taken a certain block of rooms and.
absolutely. I
Yeah.
mean, obviously, we're in this business. We know the need for housing,
Yeah.
and the problem is a lot of people can't qualify to be in an apartment. They just, unfortunately, on paper, they don't.
Right.
Right. So I was actually helping a client of mine that I listed his house for $1 million. He wanted me to help find his mom an apartment because he wanted to sell his house. He was moving to Arizona, and obviously, I have $1 million listing. I wasn't going to tell him, oh, I don't do rentals.
Right. Right.
So I tried to, and we had a problem because she wasn't employed. Obviously, she
Right.
was retired,
Right.
and he wanted to pay for her, and everybody required verification from her personally.
Hmm.
So and when I realized, I'm like, there's something wrong here.
Hmm.
So I bought the first one in Virginia, Minnesota, and that performed very well. And then I end up kind of searching for something similar. I'm getting hotels at like 10 a door,
Hmm.
which is
Crazy.
unheard of. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're all performing well. They're all cash flow pretty well.
Well, okay. So we know Virginia. Where are the other ones?
There's one in Wilmer,
Okay.
Minnesota.
Yep.
One in Ohio.
Okay.
Small city called Coshocton. Thief River Falls, Minnesota
way up
as well.
there, yep.
Yeah. And Oakley, right next to Thief River Falls. And
My next hunting trip up there, I'm gonna have to talk to you.
oh,
Yeah,
absolutely,
right.
yeah. So, and then most recently, I bought one in Eau Claire, Wisconsin,
Okay.
and Grand Forks, North Dakota. The Grand Forks, North Dakota, I went under contract with it a year ago.
Hmm.
It was October of 2023, but I don't buy flags. Flags means like, Super 6, Super 8, and
Right.
those I don't buy those because they really control what you can and can't do.
Right.
And
You're going independent.
correct.
Right? Yeah.
So independent, and I have my own brand.
Yeah.
So what I did is they wanted 150,000 to break the deal with ABVS, with America's best value in,
Yeah.
right? So I don't want to pay the 150. The seller don't want to pay the 150. So we agreed that we're under contract. He cannot sell it to anybody else, but I take over October 2024.
Yeah.
That's when they expired. So I just took over that one in October.
Nice.
And the one in Eau Claire, it was it's beautiful. It's probably the nicest hotel that I have, but it had a very bad reputation.
Mhm.
The previous seller just treated it badly, and the city of Eau Claire wanted them gone. So I leveraged that as well. I got a pretty good deal on it, and that one I did an SBA loan on it
Mhm.
with we got a 600K remodel budget.
Mhm.
That's the one we're 200 almost 300,000 over
Over
budget.
budget. Yeah.
But what we did is we got everybody out and remodeled every single room,
Right.
and it looks great. So because that has a lot more potential.
Sure.
Because what I usually do is when I buy these hotels, I operate them as they are. And then when I have some money coming in, I would remodel the rooms and I add a kitchenette.
Mhm.
Because again, I treat them as long-term
Long term.
stays.
Yeah.
So people want an oven or they want to cook in there.
And so people are searching only for those.
Correct.
Yeah.
So, and what I do is, put new floor, paint, new bathrooms, 65-inch TVs
Mhm.
and, kitchenette. Because people, I mean, that's what they want. Nice TV to watch stuff on
Yep.
and, to cook. The people that live in these hotels. So I'm providing that. And it's almost hard to beat, right?
Right.
To have all your utilities included. Because even an apartment, you still have to pay for
You
other
still pay all that
utilities.
stuff. Yeah.
You still have to pay for Wi-Fi and
Yep.
dish. So we include all that included in your $300 weekly, which is $1,200 a month. It's not bad.
That's not bad at all.
And
Yeah.
like I said, we do once a week cleaning just to make sure the room isn't bad,
Mhm.
and laundry and everything else. So yeah, it's worked out very
That's
well.
really cool.
That's my plan. Is I want to own as many as possible of these.
That's your investment angle, right?
Absolutely.
And I think excuse me. If people are listening to this, are probably picking up that you're
Mhm.
running your business like a business.
Correct.
You're approaching it all like a business, and you don't have one revenue source.
Mhm.
You're when I say you're leveraging, you're putting people in place to help manage this. You're not managing 100% of this by yourself.
Not possible.
And I'm guessing you probably learned that in your bar days, how to departmentalize like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, any advice you want to give as we're wrapping up here to the agents and I realize that agents feel overwhelmed sometimes when they're dealing with 3 transactions at a time, or they get stuck on how do I grow my business from where it's at, and they just kind of go through this mental loop,
Correct.
down a rabbit hole. So, what advice do you have to people, from where you've come from to where you are, where they're at, where they want to go? What's maybe some secret sauce that you want to give them?
The secret sauce. I don't think there is a secret sauce. I think it's a combination of a few things.
Okay.
The most important thing is don't set unrealistic goals for yourself.
Mhm.
I've seen so many agents set those goals and they don't reach them, and it just drains them and
Mhm.
makes them want to step out of the business. So if you want, I always encourage people to set goals, but I say start small
Mhm.
because when you achieve those goals, the confidence that you get is huge.
So you'll start setting bigger goals later.
Correct.
Yeah.
So, and in this business, and I always tell this, my confidence is everything.
Mm-hmm.
Every listing that I've won going against other agents has been because I've been confident that I can sell this house.
Mm-hmm.
And believe me, sellers and buyers can smell that.
They feel that.
all day.
Absolutely.
And you can't fake confidence. You have
No.
to go in there knowing
Yeah.
actually that you're confident enough to do this thing.
And I think a lot of agents suffer from lack of confidence.
Correct.
And even perfectionist syndrome. That if it's not perfect, if they're not perfect, if they don't know exactly what to say,
Sure.
they go down this negative rabbit hole. But
Yeah.
confidence means that, well, I might not do everything perfect, but I got this.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna get through this.
Correct. For newer agents, join a team. Nobody's going to help you in this business for free. It's just any business. It's very hard to find somebody.
It's a bad expectation.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So, and you need help. You need direction. You need somebody to teach you what to do. It's almost impossible to make this on your own. And so, also, and I'm not recruiting. I'm not asking you to join my team, but do your research, do your homework. The team that you join, the leadership you join, is very important as well. And marketing is everything in this business. Yeah, but you have to know how to do it, right?
Mhm.
Just posting stuff about real estate doesn't mean that you're a great agent. But also, you've told me this from when I first started. It's about constantly reminding people that you do real estate at a high level consistently,
Yep.
because people tend to forget. So you have to market yourself every single day. You have to know how to do it, when to do it, the ways to really do it, because there's a lot of agents that market themselves and people notice certain things. So you have to. People are not going to hire you as an agent if you don't have an experience.
Hmm.
So the way you have to market yourself as you do have experience, you have deals, because it's very rare that somebody will reach out to you if you're not marketing yourself or closing deals.
Hmm.
First, again, people tend to forget, and second, they want to know that you know what you're doing.
Hmm.
That when you post stuff that you're doing in real estate, that's what relates to you. You know what you're doing. Because you're doing it,
Hmm.
right? So especially when you're doing it every single day, when it becomes a full-time job, and when you you show people that you're closing deals, you're doing this and you're doing that. So
It's proof of concept.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And again, you have to do it at a high level. You just don't post anything just to say, "Hey, I posted this."
The last question I have for you,
Mhm.
talking about the American dream,
Yeah.
I'd assume you'd probably say that you've achieved it, or you're still in process of achieving your version of it. You
Mhm.
came here from a different country. You have grown a wonderful family, multiple businesses. I'm assuming that you're not looking at your bank account every day, going, "God, I hope I don't go negative today."
Sure.
So you've actually been one that's accomplished it.
Mhm.
Uh, what advice do you have to people that haven't yet?
Well, I think when you say the American dream, a lot of people think buying a home,
Right.
right?
It's more
Um,
than that.
Correct.
Yeah.
Um,
Buying a home is part of it. Yeah.
correct. But I've seen a lot of people saying, "I've achieved the American dream. I bought a home," and but a lot of people have different versions of the American
Hmm.
dream. And to me, the American dream, I do feel like I established it, um, and not because of how many commas in the bank account, but the financial freedom is to me what the American dream is, along with a steady home,
Hmm.
right? Money doesn't mean anything if you don't have a family that you can share with.
Hmm.
To me, my American dream is making sure my wife and my two daughters are happy, healthy for the rest of their lives,
Well,
right?
I mean, you're actually creating generational wealth, which, in my opinion, that's the American dream on steroids.
Absolutely.
And the way I look at the American dream, it really comes down to that story of self-made man or woman,
Mhm.
social mobility, upward mobility socially.
Correct.
What the homeownership, I think, what the American dream provides is a sense of stability that people thrive in, and
Absolutely.
accomplishment. It's a token.
Absolutely.
So I think you've done all that, and I think you have created a generational wealth that you can then teach your kids how to run businesses,
Mhm.
and they can start where you left off and grow it even bigger, so on and
100%.
so forth. And I have to think that's got to be the agenda.
100%.
I figured,
That's
yeah.
been the agenda for me since day one. Is again, I want my two daughters to be independent, successful. My job, my duty on this earth is to make sure that their future is set.
Yeah.
If they grow up and they get married, and I hope they found their significant other, but I don't ever want to worry about them having an account on somebody else. I
Hmm.
think my duty as a father is to make sure that they're set and then their kids are set.
And you teach them, you give them financial literacy,
Correct.
business literacy,
My,
literacy.
Mike, I'm not kidding you. When you meet my 9-year-old daughter, you'll see she is probably one of the smartest kids I've ever met in my life.
Hmm.
She's a literal genius. I think she'll end up in NASA. But, and I'm not just saying this because that's my own daughter, but she knows about real estate more than some agents.
I,
And I'm not even
I
exaggerating.
hear you there.
And she's very curious. She's the one that'll come, show me, the purchase agreement.
Hmm.
What do you do this? Like she literally knows how to look where
I
the
love
closing
that.
date is, where the purchase price is, how much they're putting down, financing. Like she knows all the basics of it.
Future agent.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. She
Yeah.
you ask her, what do you want to do? She'll tell you, I want to run daddy's businesses.
That's so
That's her
cool.
goal in life.
That is so cool.
So
I think you made a lot of parents envious right there.
thank you.
Uh,
But I mean, it takes the child gonna want to do it,
yeah.
right? So that's the hardest part for me, is that she wants to do it. So,
Hmm.
and the easier job becomes teaching her how to do it, especially when she has a higher IQ than average.
That puts a lot of pressure on you because now you got to deliver.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So,
So I know we got to get wrapping up here, Jado. But if people want to talk to you further, if they
mm,
want to reach out to you, how do they get a hold of you?
social media is probably the easiest way. All my handles are at I know Jado.
Yep.
IKNOWJADO. My cell phone is 612-483-1742. It's also all over my social media.
Yeah.
Reach out anytime, and genuinely, like, I know I just said this, nobody's going to help you for free, but I've
Yeah,
I've
I was gonna call you out on that because you do
thank
that
you.
stuff all the time.
I do.
I do too.
I mean, it's good karma,
It
right?
is.
But when I said for you to count on somebody to help you every single day for free is going to be hard. But when I always have random agents from other brokerages reaches out, I always want to help.
Hmm.
We both believe in good karma. I genuinely believe, because my wife always faults me. She says I'm too generous, I'm too kind, I'm too nice to people, and I say that's the reason we're successful.
Hmm.
Is I don't think I would have had this kind of success because I give, to me, everything that I've owned, everything that I've achieved, I've always given, to my Lord Jesus Christ. That's who I believe is, my savior. Obviously, everybody, I respect every religion, but I believe following his steps of being, a good human and doing things the right way. Because 99% of the time, people know what the right thing is to do, they just choose not to do it.
Hmm.
Um, and so I live my life based on always doing the right thing, no matter at what cost it comes, and no matter what it takes. So, um, so taking care of people, helping people, in all sorts of different ways, even helping strangers, I believe is good karma.
Hmm.
So, reach out. I genuinely mean it. I've always tell people, if you have any questions, if you need any help, any advice, um, all you gotta do is DM me or text me. I'm more than willing to help you, meet with you, teach you the way. And yeah,
Love it.
so
Well, thank you for coming by today.
thank you for having me.
I'm sure a lot of people are going to get a lot of value from hearing from you, and a lot of people have been watching you
Thank
over the
you.
years and probably don't know everything you're up to. So I think,
Yeah,
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 this is, ladies and gentlemen, what the American dream looks like.
thank you.
Somebody that's overcome, somebody that's really, I mean, I don't want to say the word struck gold. I mean, it's not luck that you did. You did this all intentional.
Right.
And you built something that many of us, would just love to be in your shoes. So
Thank you.
thanks for coming. Thanks
Of
for
course.
sharing.
And just do it. The only thing I was to say, be humble. That's the most
Hmm.
important too. Like, a lot of people judge you based on your character. I like when you meet a celebrity, they always ask me like, was he arrogant or was he humble? Like, I feel like a lot of people judge your character
They
based
do.
on that thing, especially when you're a celebrity or you're successful. So I don't, I've never felt like I'm better than anybody else. Um, so no matter how successful you are, no matter how much money you have, always be humble. So we're all worth the same in the box at the end of the day.
You're
So
not wrong. All right, Jado, thank you.
thank you. Appreciate having me.
Yo.